Good evening and welcome to the Irish Art Show broadcast from the Scientology Community Centre. Our guest tonight is Zak Moradi, a Kurdish Irish hurler and author who was also awarded the Tallaght Person of the Year in 2022. Zak's remarkable journey took him on many adventures, which you will hear all about tonight. You're very welcome to the Irish Art Show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We're looking forward to interviewing you and hearing all about your incredible journey.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's just
something different.
Yeah, and it's so inspiring, absolutely. I'd like to take you back to the beginning, as you were born in a refugee camp in Ramadi, am I right?
That's right,
in
yeah.
Iraq, in the height of the Gulf War, and you spent your formative years there. Can you tell us what it was like, or do you have memories of being in the camp?
I do, yeah. So I spent close to 11 years in a refugee camp.
Right.
But obviously I'm originally from Kurdistan of Iran. So, but my parents were forced out of their home, so they fled into Kurdistan of Iraq, and spent some time in Kurdistan of Iraq as a refugee, and then they were sent about 12 to 50,000 people were sent in the back of army trucks to place called Ramadi, and they opened the refugee camp. They named it Al-Tash camp, and my parents lived there for close to 20 years, and 2 years in Kurdistan, so nearly 20 years in a refugee camp.
And were you looked after? Were you looked after food-wise and clothes-wise, or were you just left to fend for yourself?
I think from the start they were looked after, and then the sanction started on Iraq. And then when the war went on, it was tough. When there's war in any country that goes on for 8 years, it was very hard, obviously to get. It's very hard for everybody that lives in a country where there's war going on, because the price of everything just goes, price of everything just goes mad, everything triples. And obviously you wouldn't have been able to eat meat every week, something like my parents would have probably eaten every day before in the 70s, because they were farmers and they had a lot of land. They had a great life before all the war started. But all of a sudden, when the war started, they lost everything.
Unbelievable.
But they were the same as 50,000 other people, 12 other thousand Kurds that were in the refugee camp in Al-Tash. So everybody was in the same boat. But And
as far as I know, Iraq would have been a rich country. Am I right? No?
Iraq would be a rich country.
Yeah, so obviously was it Saddam Hussein and the regime were not sharing the money with the people of Iraq, was that it?
Well, it's, when you look at it, it's very complicated.
Yeah, it is very complicated.
Like, originally Iraq was created by Britain in 1923, I think it was, nearly. And in Kurdistan, our people was divided then and between 4 countries, Iran, Turkey and Syria. And that's why since then there really hasn't been peace in the Middle East, since our country has been occupied for the last 100 years. And obviously a lot of people, you don't hear much news talking about it, because you will upset 4 countries when we talk about Kurdistan under occupation. So sometimes it's easy to talk about Palestine or West Bank under occupation. It's only one country you can attack. Yeah. But sometimes we say we are the forgotten people.
Is it still going on?
Oh, every day, yes. Every day. Every day there's ethnic.
So there's still war there, is there?
Well, there's not war. Let's say, if you're in Kurdistan of Iraq has its own regional government. So they since after the overthrow of Saddam Hussein, so they've sharing power. So they'll have their own regional government. They have their own. We call it the Peshmerga force, an armed force that fought against Saddam. So they're in control, and you have a parliament, you have MPs, you have a Kurdistan president, you have a prime minister, but also the president of Iraq will always have to be a Kurd as well. Okay. And the foreign minister is a Kurd. So there's a sharing power between Iraq and the Kurds. And then since 2011, the Kurds in Syria, they have their own, like a regional government, so they couldn't call it Kurdistan. They had to come up to keep Turkey and other countries happy. They call it the Syrian Democratic Forces, just to keep.
Yeah.
So, but then but Kurds are treated differently in them 4 parts. If you're in Kurdistan of Iraq, you can speak Kurdish, you can go to school and learn Kurdish, you can go to university learn Kurdish. But in Syria, Kurdish was banned. School, like most Kurds in Syria are Arabanized. They speak Arabic. You know, there's still about probably 3 or 4 million people there. I say with that 3 or 4, only probably 1.5 million of them speak Kurdish. They're being Arabanized over the years. It's kind of similar to what happened to Ireland over the 800 years with Britain, and then in Turkey. So Turkey bombs the Syrian Kurds every single day, and you wouldn't hear about it in the news because it happens every day constantly. And then the Kurds, we have over 20 million Kurds in Turkey. And up to 1991, you couldn't speak Kurdish in Turkey. And even like you look at all the Turkish prisons, it's all full of Kurds just for being. They're in prison just for being a Kurd. I think that's where my opinion, the biggest racist country is Turkey in this planet. It's just because when they have 20 million Kurds there, but Turkey's gone backward in the last 20 years, turned into a dictatorship and an Islamist country. So, anyway, so that's them. But in the last 10 years, they treat Kurdish people a little bit better if you compare it to 100 years ago, when in the 1940s where they killed 80,000 Kurds in one day, and genocide and ethnic cleansing, but then only in 2019 there was close to 200,000 Kurdish people were pushed out of their homes by the Turkish army, and they occupied Afrin as a Kurdish city, and population of Afrin in Syria was a Kurdish city. Population was 90% Kurdish. And today, 5% is Kurdish. Wow. And when I went to the refugee camp in Kurdistan of Iraq last year, I visited a lot of these people who are from there, and their homes are being taken and occupied by Arab refugees to come from Syria, Palestinian refugees and Arab, and so the Middle East is at the minute is a mess.
It's a mess.
And
did you feel when you were a child in the camp, did you feel that that was normal life for everybody? Did you think that you were different? Did you think other people were living differently to you?
Oh yeah, when we left the refugee camp, we realised we were different.
When you went to Carrick-on-Shannon, is that it?
No.
No, before that. Okay.
When we were in the refugee camp in Iraq, because you're in a camp, you weren't really allowed out. You are allowed out, but you had a little police station at the entrance of the refugee camp. When you went out, you had to tell them where you're going now.
Yeah.
But when you went out, we were surrounded by obviously Arabs.
Yeah.
So they dressed differently to us Kurdish. We wear Kurdish clothes, and they were the big white dildasha, we call it. And you could see they had a better life when they had big houses and big cars. So it was, and then we kind of, as you got a little bit older, we realised we weren't from there.
Yeah.
And but then.
And then you got like.
People would say, did they treat us fairly? I say I wouldn't brush them all with the same brush. The Iraqi Arabs, my family made a lot of friends with a lot of Arab sheikhs, and we still be friends with them to this day. But there was good ones, but 80% of them were bad.
There always is, though, isn't it? There always is. And then obviously, you obviously got a chance to come to Ireland. You'll have to tell us how that came about.
Obviously, it was difficult from the start, but
absolutely.
But obviously, we were on the waiting list with the UN, with the Red Cross, to get relocated somewhere to a European country, or Australia. We have a lot of relations there. Some of my aunties are in Sweden since the 90s, and we have relations in Australia, New Zealand, different part of Europe. Every country in Europe we have relations and uncles. And so we were on a waiting list as well, but we ended up in Ireland. So we relocated after, spending close to 20 years in the refugee camp and 12 years probably on a waiting list. And
was it strange to come home but come to Ireland and have the freedom to do what you wanted to do then?
Yeah, it was different. Like obviously it took a while. Obviously it took about As I got a little bit older, I realised what freedom was.
That's good.
Yeah, because it's different, because we lived in a country under Saddam Hussein where he was a dictator. People were terrified to even mention his name. When you watch TV every day, it was all about him. Everything was about him. And if you went to a town, if you went to a shopping, a local market or all the newspaper, you just picture Saddam Hussein, you wouldn't know which paper was yesterday or today's or tomorrow, because it all looks the same. There'd be a picture of him on every... But,
It's unreal, isn't it? When you think about it.
So it was, everything was him, magazines, everything just was him. And sometimes a lot of people, especially in Ireland, don't know what a dictatorship is, or till you live in one. But it's just like statue of him everywhere. Every hospital or schools, we picture him everywhere. He was like God.
Yeah. Because I like the fact when you came to Carrick-on-Shannon that you discovered a talent for hurling. And you do say here that your life took off. Like it almost must have felt like it was beginning when you could play. Like, I know you were probably, were you 11 at that point?
About 11, yeah.
Yeah, so you had some freedom, and you were able to maybe mix with children and do different things.
Yeah, it was different. It's like anything, when you're it's like acting. It's like, example, if you're starting in secondary school, you're after being in, just say, in another school, and then you have to change the school, and completely everybody else is new. You get a bit of a shock culture. You do. Even if you're Irish, you're going to, you get a bit of, but imagine if you don't know the language, there's a big barrier, big massive culture shock, everything. But slowly, obviously, playing sports, hurling and Gaelic, and playing all sports, and kind of helped, obviously, get to know people in the classroom, and because of sports, so you don't need to speak English to play sports, so it kind of helped. And obviously, my English obviously improved through sports, playing hurling and Gaelic, and getting involved, joining the club in St Mary's, local club in Leitrim, Carrick-on-Shannon. And then I always say we kind of laid the foundation in Leitrim, where we picked up the language and the culture, and then when we moved to Dublin, then we already had the language, and everything else was easier.
When you had the language? Yeah, when you can speak English, obviously it's going to make a big difference to you.
It makes a big difference.
And were people good to you?
They were very good now, yeah. And we still have the people, I'm still friends with them. I was only down there actually the weekend there, down in Ballinamore Festival there. And there's lads, I stay in the lads Fergal Early's house, and I've known him years, and I played hurling with him, and I met my friend Barry when I first came to Leitrim. He was my Gaelic manager. So I went down, stayed in his house there on the Sunday then. We had a few beers, and that's the rest is history.
Yeah, well, it's great to still have those friendships. And I see then as well that you were on the Tommy Tiernan show. How did you get on that? Someone said, are you coming on, Zach?
That's basically it was.
Was it?
I got an old text, I think it was on Instagram.
Did you? I love it.
Hi, my name is, I think her name was Katie at the time. Katie contacted me, and would you like to come on? I was like, yes, no problem. And then went on it, and then it was different because it was actually the first show, it was COVID time, so there was no audience.
Yeah.
So I just walked in, it was just me and Tommy. I didn't meet him or anything like that, so he didn't know who I was. Just walked in, roll up like today here.
Yeah.
And then it was just like being in the pub having a conversation. That's what it was like.
Did you enjoy it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Did he get? I think he used to decide, he used to work out who you are. Is that it, I think?
That's it, yeah.
Was that difficult? I'm sure it was, maybe. Did he even?
Yeah, well, he tried. Well, I don't know if he knew me or not, but we just went with the flow anyway.
Yeah.
But
because I'm thinking if that happened to me, if I had to just guess who you were, it'd be a bit difficult, wouldn't it? Trying to figure it out.
I'd say it would be, but I'm sure, like,
We'd
if I didn't know it's you, it's like now you get into a conversation.
Yeah, we'd have to talk and see where we
So it's like sitting in a pub and having a conversation. That's what
go.
Tommy was like. I know it probably looks a lot harder, but that's what.
And I just feel like Ireland has become, like, definitely a home to you. Although you did say that your heart is in Ireland, but your blood is Kurdish. And I love that. I really do. And it really says everything, doesn't it? But I love that also that you received the Tallaght Person of the Year award in 2022. I mean, how cool was that?
It was It was very cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
But I wasn't even going to go up that night because I was nominated for some sports section thing, young sports person of the year, something like that. And then one of my friends, he's like a parent to me, he's Terry, and he's involved with it. Does a lot of community work up in Aylesbury. And he says to me, "Oh, will you come with me?" And he was, "Oh, we haven't had a drink in ages." I said, "Oh, go on, I'll go with you." And then we went in. I think there was about 300 or 400 people there down the Maldron Hotel. And I was actually nearly late with starting. Like, only got there about 9:15, and got there, the thing just started. Just had a drink, and then I was just there for the night and watching, and that was it. Terry got an award. He got some community award thing, so it was great. So I was happy. Oh, well, Terry, we're celebrating Terry's then. And then in the end of the night, came to the big thing, Tallaght Person of the Year. I was delighted now.
Did you know it was going to be you?
No, I hadn't a clue.
Well, that must. I mean, you could have gone home. Is that what you're telling us?
Well, I was.
I'm out of here, lads.
No, I was meant to be going to a birthday party, and I said, "Terry, I'll hang on here for an hour." He goes, "Oh, jeez, it'd be very rude to leave now." Yeah.
Did he know? No, he didn't know either.
Well, no, I don't think he even know.
No, I love that.
He was like, "Jeez, I'll go with you, but jeez, it'd be very rude to."
To leave.
I said, "Terry, you got your award. Come on, we go." And Terry was like, "Oh, I'll be finished in half an hour." I was like, "Grand, I will stay then."
Just as well you stayed.
I just as well stayed. Yeah.
That would have been a moment to have missed, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Did you have to attend many events after that? Did you have to do anything when you became Tallaght Person of the Year?
Yeah, a lot actually.
Did
yeah,
you?
yeah. Kind of nearly suits people that kind of. They're retired, they have a flexible job to go around, you know. But I enjoyed it really, you know. It was great to get an award like that, a nomination.
Absolutely.
And
Not everybody gets it.
not everybody gets it,
Yeah.
but I was delighted with that, you
Were
know.
you like a celebrity now going around with? Did you have to
gold
wear?
chain,
Yeah.
yeah.
Were you like a celebrity?
I
yeah?
was going around the whole of Tallaght. Hey, look at me. Yes.
I absolutely love that. That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a great night now, yeah. So
Yeah.
it was,
I'd say all your family were delighted as well.
they were, yeah.
Yeah.
My mum was very happy.
I'd say
delighted.
she was chuffed.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
She thought she thought I was going to get to keep the gold chain. She was like, "No, it's only for a year."
At least you got loads of photographs taken in it anyway. Just
Yeah,
for
it was-
the memories of it. And again in 2022, you've been really busy, you know?
Yeah.
Really busy. You published your own book, an autobiography, yeah?
Yeah, Niall Kelly was the ghostwriter.
Who?
Niall Kelly.
Niall
he's,
Kelly,
he's the
okay.
editor of 42.
Yeah.
Two of us worked together for a couple of months. Took a bit of time. It was COVID time, so it was,
Yeah.
you know, took a bit of time. It worked out well in the end.
Are you happy with it? Actually,
I
I have
am,
the book
yeah.
here.
Yeah, very happy with
Just
it.
to show it to the camera. There you go. It's lovely. It's a
Thanks very much.
great book. It looks. I'm looking forward to reading it actually.
Thanks very much. So
So it took a few months to get it together.
took a few months to get it together, and then obviously getting it printed, and then I didn't really, be honest, I didn't do much. I just had to get the book done and dusted, and Gills, they looked after everything else, kind of promoting it and getting onto East and all the bookshop around the country to sell it. So it went very well. I was delighted the way it went.
Yeah.
And but
Well, have you another one going? Would you write another one? Do you think? Would you write another book?
No.
They say
Two.
there's one book in everybody, don't they? They say
yeah,
there's at
there's
least
one in
one
every-
book.
There's one
So
book.
that's
yeah.
it, is it?
That's it for now. For now it is anyway.
Yeah, you
know.
don't know. Years
just-
to come, you might have more of the story to add to it. So.
Yeah, that's
You
it.
know?
Yeah.
And I see that you actually in 2023 you went back to Iraq for scenes for a documentary.
Yeah, so the documentary is kind of similar to the book.
Yeah.
And the
Were
friend.
you worried about going back? Like, could you be held when you go back? I don't know. I'm just.
No, so we went to Kurdistan of Iraq.
Okay.
So that's what I was saying earlier. They have their own regional government, and
Right.
they've two international airports. So
Wow.
you can just literally fly. You can fly straight. You can go from London straight to Kurdistan,
Yeah.
from Germany, from Berlin straight to Kurdistan as well. So, or you can go through Qatar area or Turkish Airways. There's a lot of flights now. At the minute, Kurdistan is booming, but at the same time, it's in southern Kurdistan. There's 6 million Kurds there. But there's over 1.2 million refugees in Kurdistan. So there's a bit of both, you know.
Yeah.
There's people having a good life, but at the same time, there's the refugee crisis in their doorstep.
Do you feel stressed? You know, when you go over, do you feel like there's a kind of a certain stress there because of being held kind of captive, I suppose, in some way?
Well, I hadn't been there. That was my first time in Kurdistan of Iraq, and obviously visiting refugee camps over there. It's very sad when you see all the kids. You do get emotional. It's sometimes you might, sometimes you do when you're watching kids. Sometimes what's happening around the world on your TV when you see kids are struggling, you do get emotional. But imagine actually visiting the refugee camp. Then it's a different world. Then, you know. And
you hope they have a happy ending. You know, a happy
ending. But that's what you're hoping. You know, some will end up have a happy ending, and some might never. You know, some will die in the refugees.
Yeah.
So it was like hundreds of people were. The refugee camps I was in, hundreds of people were buried in that, and the refugee camp died, and they never.
It's very sad, isn't it? Very sad. I want to talk about, in 2024 you had your documentary released, obviously, so it's only after happening, in Galway at the film festival. Yeah, so they played it in Palace Cinema, so full house, it went great. First 3 days, tickets was all sold out, so only me mother and me brother could go, I had no tickets for them, so had another private show for them all, for the family and friends. So got another about 250 people to that one. And so it was a great experience, obviously. I think the film was nearly a lot harder doing than the book. There was a lot in the film, you know, documentary. There's a lot of time into it. There's a lot of people involved in it. Obviously there's a lot of traveling. Obviously Kurdistan is not easy either as well. You have to organize everything. It's like, think about we're doing this, amount of time it takes to do this setup. Yes.
And imagine you're doing a documentary, you're trying to take it onto the street. When you're walking, you have a camera behind you, you're doing, everything takes stop and start. There's a lot of work goes into it. It's
more than people ever think, isn't it?
I know, it looks easy sometimes on TV, when you're watching it. But
they don't see the editing bits.
They don't see the editing bit, that's the hard parts, when you're, the behind the scene work it's probably the hardest,
And I'd actually like to take you back, where we're actually going to show a photo of another win in hurling. So tell me about your hurling journey. I know we touched on it there, but how has it changed your life?
So I'll say it's been.
Are you still hurling?
I'm still playing away, yeah.
Yeah.
Playing with Thomas Davis GA club up in Tallaght here. But I played with Leitrim for 10 years nearly, and then getting older now, so I kind of stopped about 4 years ago.
Oh, you're stopped now, are you?
Yeah, just playing club level.
Right.
So I'm still playing away, trying to keep fit. But I had an amazing journey, obviously a long road from Kurdistan.
I know.
To Croke Park to Ireland. It's a lovely hurl. Good boss.
Yeah, we normally have a guitar there. We moved the guitar for the hurl.
Sorry, I'll take that home with me before someone else
take it. Oh, you couldn't. Toby will go mad. That's Toby's. You'd have to get past him first. Yeah. So what I'd like to do is take a look at a trailer, and it's a movie all about yourself, and it's called Home.
My name is Zak Moradi. I'm a child of refugees, and I grew up in a refugee camp. I was given a chance at a better life in Ireland. I found a community and a passion through sport, and I found a home. While my heart belongs to Ireland, my blood is Kurdish. I always felt like it's calling me back. Nobody ever wants to be a refugee. It's not something you choose.
So can you tell us a little bit how that Home movie came about?
A friend of mine, Declan Ryan, he's from Tony Ryan's son. He was the CEO of Ryanair before Michael O'Leary. He read my book, and then he said to me, there's a documentary in this, and then we kind of just, I was like, oh, so what are we going to do? Talk about hurling? He goes, no, we're going to start all the way back to Kurdistan, how it all started, and then we'll go there, do it from there, and record in Ireland, Leitrim, Dublin, Tallaght, hurling, bit of mixture of everything. But that was it. We kind of just, that was it. We met up for a coffee, and then, to be fair, he doesn't like me mentioning his name or thanking him, but it was incredible, someone like that just, and he organised everything really behind the scene as well. He got all the crew together, and
It's great.
you know, and I think it do well in the long term, the film,
Yeah.
and you know, so obviously, you know, over 1,000 films, you know, you do in Galway Film Festival, they only pick 90, so there's 1,000 films. People applied from all around the world, so we got picked for Galway, get to play in Galway, which is it's an amazing feeling, you know, and we'll see where it goes from there, you know. So, but
Is it so it is released? Is it fully released, or has it been shown on TV? Or?
no, it hasn't been shown on
Right,
TV,
okay.
so we're
It
just.
will be though.
Oh, it will be,
Absolutely
yeah.
will
It will
be.
be, yeah. It's just kind of a bit of hold off on it.
Yeah.
But the story's different, you know. It's kind of, it's about me, but it's about telling people what it's like being a refugee, what refugees go through, and it's about my people as well, the
Yeah.
Kurds in Kurdistan, how they have suffered for the last 100 years, what they have gone through. If somebody has to tell Ireland and the world who the Kurds are. Sometimes we are the forgotten people, and sometimes we have too many. We are surrounded by enemies. They're not going to, you know, fight for us. We have to speak up ourselves.
Well, you're doing a good job of it.
Yeah, thanks very
You've
much.
come a long way from the camp, that's for sure,
Yeah,
isn't it?
a long
And
way.
you're sharing your story to make a difference in other people's lives.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all I
You
can
know,
do.
and that's what it is.
We need more people to speak up
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, you might get the ball rolling on that, you know.
Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. What would you like to see next for you, Zak? Like, what currently would you like to do? What would you like to do in the future?
I don't know. I just go with the flow.
Yeah.
It's always just something comes up every year.
Well, you're like an ambassador, aren't you now? An ambassador to tell the story.
Well, I'm kind of a public speaker and do a lot of
Exactly.
talking with charity organisations and.
Probably just continue.
Yeah,
Continue
I'll
that.
at the minute I'll just continue what I'm doing, and then hopefully in long term, you know, we might get Ireland to recognise Kurdistan as a country, as
Yeah.
a state, like they did with Palestine. So, you know, maybe that's something trying to work on.
Yeah. Well, I have to say it's been a pleasure interviewing you.
Thanks
I
very
really
much.
enjoyed hearing your story.
And
Thanks for sharing it. I really appreciate it.
and thanks for having me.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
No
Thank
problem
you.
at all.
Before you leave, maybe you could tell your social media.
If you want to contact me, you can contact me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Probably a lot easier.
Yeah.
Or Facebook or
Okay.
Twitter.
All right.
So
That's
they're-
great.
They're the three.
Well, thanks so much.
No problem at all.
Keep sharing your stories
Thanks,
and
Phil.
making the world a better place,
Yeah.
because that's what it is doing, you know?
Yeah, well, that's it, yeah.
It's making people think outside the box. People who've never been in a refugee campus that don't know.
Well, that's it. Hopefully
Yeah.
hopefully this documentary will
Yeah.
change a lot of people's minds when
Yeah.
it's shown in Ireland. So
Yeah.
we're just waiting to see what happens, you know.
Well, there you go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this evening. What a wonderful interview with Zak there. I hope you enjoyed his story and hope it makes us all think tonight about what's going on around the world. Thanks so much on behalf of myself, Angel, and the crew. Good night. See you next week.